I think that leads us to the one public hearing, does it not? Can you read that into the record?
Yes, thank you again, President Dillon and Commissioners. We have a proposal to amend the zoning and subdivision control ordinance of Indianapolis, Marion County, Indiana. It's ordinance amendment, amended ordinance amendment 2026 A001 amended. A proposal for a general ordinance to amend Chapter 740-202 definitions and 742-109 special use districts pertaining to data center development of the Consolidated Zoning and Subdivision Control Ordinance for Indianapolis and Marion County.
Thank you. Staff, you have comments on this?
I do.
Bryce, you're taking the lead?
Absolutely.
Go.
All right. Thank you, President Dillon, members of the Commission. Again, my name is Bryce Patz, Administrator of Current Planning. Before you today, we have 2026 AO001 amended. And so I kind of want to pause and say I want to thank not only our City County Council for being part of this process. Thank you all commissioners for being part of this process as well. And I also want to thank the community members who have been engaged, have been submitting comments and working with us through this really tough topic. Before you is an amendment to the ordinance amendment that this body approved back on July 1st of 2026. On August 10th, 2026, the City County Council approved an amendment to the ordinance that this body approved that stricken the language and in place put Section 1 that reads the following. Revised Code Section 742-009 Subpart L of the zoning ordinance of Marion County, Indiana shall be specified reserved for data center regulations that shall be developed by staff after a moratorium ending no later than December 31st of 2027. That language also includes that on the permitting or allowance of any data centers within the jurisdiction of the Metropolitan Development Commission. And that pause would allow for community experts and community members to engage in reasonable and responsible regulation for data centers. The consultation shall include, but not be limited to, a review of existing structures and uses, standards specific to data center campus size, maximum building height, maximum footprints, sound levels including DBC, and low frequency noise, brownfields and other environmental concerns, including subsurface testing, generator testing plans, and electronic waste disposal plans. There is an additional change that Council approved back on August 10th, which adjusted the definition of data centers. And so that slight adjustment is item 2 under the definition of data center, to where it reads, this definition of data center, which this body approved back in July 1st, this definition does not include, which is section 2, a structure or facility where the primary use of such structure or facility is a wireless communications facility, substation and utility distribution nodes, or public safety facility or post office as defined in Chapter 740, Article 2. And so that piece just reiterates that we have within our zoning regulation special use districts that regulate those types of uses. They might look or feel similar as technology is growing to data centers, but we want to specify we have regulations in place. And so that definition that Council passed on August 10th is now within the definition before you all today with that amendment. Otherwise, staff recommends approval of the 2026 AO001 as amended by City County Council on August 10, 2026, for the moratorium to be to December 31st, 2027. And happy to answer any questions you might have.
This is a public hearing, so we'll go with the petitioner, so to speak, as staff today. Are there any questions for staff on the moratorium?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Just to clarify, please, the regulations that are going to be developed after the moratorium don't forestall the consultation, which can happen during the period up until the ending of the moratorium. Is that true to say?
Absolutely, yeah. So once the decision's made, DMD is already in the works on facilitating what council has given direction to, which we fully support, which is pulling together experts in the field, making sure that we're getting all those, and not only with the technology in the building, but environmental impacts, regulatory agencies for utilities, things of that nature. We want to ensure that all of those experts are at the table when we craft reasonable, responsible regulation to bring back to this body.
Any other questions for staff, who is effectively the petitioner?
I have some, President Dillon.
All right.
So in that section 1, right after it sets out December 31st, 2027, and then it goes on to say, on the permitting or allowance of any and all data centers within the jurisdiction of the Metropolitan Planning Commission. Permitting and allowance. So my question really just boils down to, I believe there's 3 data centers which this body has approved from a land use standpoint and or zoning and or variance standpoint. Those data centers haven't begun construction to the best of my knowledge. They would still be required to pull building permits. So when it specifies it's a moratorium on the permitting or allowance, I mean, to allow something would be to let it happen. Those haven't happened yet. So would this moratorium be a moratorium on those 3 that we've approved from a land use standpoint, or are they specifically excluded from the moratorium?
Thank you, Commissioner. In terms of the moratorium language, and that was passed by a city county council, what this is referring to is to any new land use petition for the use of a data center would be within that moratorium language, which means that any that's been approved that's already within the pipeline by state statutory requirements, those are permitted. So this would be preventing any new land use petition or development of such to occur until that moratorium is lifted.
So that language, this is the entirety of the language, right? Yeah. So that language on permitting or allowance was meant to address permitting from a land use perspective by this body, right?
Correct.
But it doesn't say that.
So with the language that, again, City County Council passed on August 10th, 2026.
And just let me interrupt you for a second. When you keep referring to that, that's the language we're looking at right here, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So the
Could
permitting...
the executive director come up as well, please? We got a couple questions for you. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, absolutely. So the language is all-encompassing with and through the City County Council's council. The intent of that jurisdiction is saying within the zoning parameters. So they're trying to encapsulate what our zoning ordinance regulates. That moratorium would be in place.
And I think I understand that intent, and maybe that's in the minutes of their meeting, or maybe that's within some other document. But what we have before us today is this language to either approve or not approve, right?
Yeah,
and in my opinion, it doesn't clearly specify that the permitting and allowance is limited to land use decisions that are under the purview of this body. It seems overly broad or vague to me, and I'm concerned that if we pass it as it's written, that there could be an objection from whomever that it does include those 3 that we've passed, and that those would not be able to pull building permits or be allowed. So if you or the director could speak to that concern.
I'd like to have the executive director speak to that in essence, Commissioner Murphy, correct me if I'm wrong, the 3, what I refer to as the 3 grandfathered projects are not involved in this moratorium A to Z, anywhere involved. No permitting issues, no nothing.
So my understanding, and I'm also looking to our MDC attorney, who may be able to weigh in on this as well.
I really want your opinion.
Understood. But these are legal questions, and so I also would just defer to an attorney as well. But the previously approved data centers were approved before this language was included in the zoning code. And so those approvals have already been made by this body. This language here would be then inserted into the zoning ordinance. And so we can't retroactively apply these standards to the data centers that have already been approved under that previous zoning ordinance. So, and what Bryce said is accurate, we wouldn't be able to retroactively apply this language to those 3 data centers.
In any capacity, licensing, anything.
I guess if you're talking about like an improvement location permit, that's where I think the vested right of a rezone application or a variance application, we would need a land use attorney or an attorney to weigh in on that interpretation. I wouldn't feel comfortable weighing in on that right now.
Is your lawyer here?
The MDC attorney, yes, Chris Steinmetz.
I thought you had somebody else in the crowd. Sorry, Counselor.
That's all right. As we've discussed before, the state statute, the vested rights statute, basically puts all regulations that are in place on the day an application is filed. Those are the rules that will apply for 3 years following the application, the filing of that application. So to the extent that this language may not be totally clear on that, it would be preempted by the state statute that says they are allowed to continue based on what the rules were in place at the time.
Understood. Commissioner Murphy, you understand that?
Let me ask, so improvement location permit, that is not under, pull-in and improvement location permit is not under the jurisdiction of the Metropolitan Planning Commission. Is that accurate?
So a ILP is what we often refer to. That is the zoning mechanism to reach permits. So that is tied to zoning, and that would be within this statutory. The issuance of those would be with our partners with Department of Business and Neighborhood Services.
So again, there may be a state statute that would override it, which might require a developer or petitioner to get it, that adjudicated in court. But in my reading of this, it's, I think, a little too encompassing or too vague, in that if an ILP is under the jurisdiction of the Metropolitan Planning Commission, and if an ILP could be considered a permit, which I think it is, that's part of the name, right? Improvement location permit, then I would think there would be a question as to whether that would fall under the moratorium, because it is permitting something. It's an improvement location permit, and it is under the jurisdiction of metropolitan planning. And this seems to put a moratorium on that. So I don't think this language does a good job of carving out and making exempt from the moratorium the 3 that we've already approved. It's possible there's a state statute that does, but we're not voting today on a state statute. We're voting on this language. So my request would be maybe, and I guess I could do this in the form of a motion, I haven't really penciled anything in, but I think the language needs to be made more clear that the 3 sites that have been approved are carved out.
The Vested Rights Act from the state is 3674 1109, which we've relied on previously, Commissioner, I think absolutely backs up the 3 grandfathered positions. I think we're fine on that. And I also do think that the city councilor, the head, what's your department? The head of the city lawyers is in agreement with that, and the counselor for the city council is also in agreement with that. So they're all saying those 3 projects, and I'm glad you agree with that, Executive Director Bryce, are outside of the moratorium moving forward, correct?
That is, yes.
Correct?
That is my understanding.
Okay. Does that help you, Commissioner Murray?
It does. I think it's good to have those things in the record.
Thank you.
Question on that, President Dillon.
Let's let our attorney talk real
I just
quick.
wanted to point out to Commissioner Murphy, at this stage in the process, there are no opportunities for this commission to amend that language.
Correct.
They either,
Voted up or voted down.
right, and if it's voted down, then it goes back to the council for another vote.
Correct.
So I just wanted to,
No, I 100% agree with you. Commissioner Lyle.
So if I guess my question is, what is the mechanism for the collaborative department of BNS to have the mechanism to execute these permits and what they have to do in the process if MDC would be the governing body that created, in collaboration with the city council, the actual process that we don't have yet?
They're actually a separate permitting division, and there is some relationship with DMD, but they actually operate on their own, do they not?
Yeah, they're a separate agency.
Separate
but,
agency.
Yeah, they look at the same, zoning ordinance that we look at. They just issue the improvement location permit. What the improvement location permit is versus what a rezone is or a variance is it verifies that that site plan, when they have the full design plans for that site, they verify that it's meeting what was previously approved under that rezone application or that variance. And so it is just confirming the standards that were in place at the time that that zoning petition, whatever that petition is, that it meets those requirements. So, for example, if something was approved back in the 70s under a certain set of regulations, if they pull an ILP, an improvement location permit today, we're still looking at those standards that were in place at that time of that rezone.
Yes, thank you.
And just to clarify even further, there's other permits that are required to construct outside of an ILP. So there's like foundational permits, grading, stormwater. So there's more permits that BNS issues outside of the ILP.
Yeah, and I think that's the origin of my question of how this reads is the moratorium is on the permitting or allowance of any and all data centers within the jurisdiction of MDC. But if these 3 grandfathered are within that MDC piece, as the moratorium goes forward, how does that affect what BNS's mechanisms would be?
So again, because those zoning matters have been settled by this body for those 3 individuals, that's where they have, under the current, those approval dates, they follow those regulations. So this moratorium language is stating that post-adoption, whatever the decision's made, that's where that moratorium goes into effect. And so that's how it'd be determined what would be captured in the moratorium versus not. And again, ILPs are just to ensure it meets all zoning compliance. And once we put this language, if approved, into the ordinance, that's where the ILP cannot be issued because the ordinance now has A, the definition for a data center, and B, the moratorium language with the date. So no ILP can be issued once it's first adopted and placed into the ordinance.
Madam Director, thank you. Bryce, thank you. Jeffrey, thank you. Now, this is a public hearing. There are several interested parties here. I would usually go to the remonstrators, but I don't think remonstrators are against a moratorium. Am I correct about that? Yes. Okay, so let's do this easy. If you're for the moratorium, would you please stand? Got it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for participating. Sir, it's enough. Sir. Yeah, we're not having a, We're having all these people talk by standing up. Are you,
No, then let me sit down. I'm gonna talk.
are you for the moratorium or against it?
I'm for it, but it don't go far enough.
Sir?
You're using
Sir.
finance to jeopardize people's health. That's stupid, man.
Thank you, sir. That's enough,
Yeah,
sir.
that's stupid.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to testify about that.
That's not on our point today, sir.
Yeah, yeah, it should stop. It should cease and desist. Yeah, it should cease and those three that are going to be killing people so you can make some money, cease and desist.
Sir, we're voting on a moratorium.
Yeah, I got something to say about it. That's all I'm saying. This is still a democracy.
Are you for the moratorium or against it?
To some extent.
Okay, but that's
Not
what we're,
absolute. It's not absolute. Don't make me say something that I'm not saying.
I understand.
There needs to be a stoppage
thank you,
of
sir.
all three
Thank you.
and anything that's going forward.
Thank you, sir. Gotcha. Got it.
Let the record show.
Thank you. All right. Once again, thank you for being here. We have two city councilors here that I thought, Councilor Hart, Councilor Boots, are you here still? I thought I saw you. Do you have any comments? Councilor Boots, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, President Dillon. My name is Dan Boots, City County Councilor for District 3. We voted for the moratorium. We think it is an important tool in the regulation of data centers. We wanted to pump the brakes and pause and allow DMD to study the subject. We even appropriated some money for special study to get some experts in to help us formulate the new regulation. So we think it's a very important tool in the governance and regulation of data centers. We're not necessarily voting against data centers. We're pausing them until we have a chance to study them appropriately.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you for being here.
Sure.
Councilor Hart, you have comments?
Yes, Mr. President and members of the body. So I actually stood out as the lone vote opposing the moratorium when we took a vote on the last full council meeting. And I came to that conclusion based on the ability that I think we're smart enough to walk and chew gum at the same time. Having been through two different data center petitions, I've seen good and I've seen bad. And I think what stands out the most to me is what is good about having these standards in place that came out of this body is it gives us somewhere to start. And what's important to remember is that you can always go above and beyond through commitments. Even the process I just went through with the most recent petition, we are above and beyond some of the standards that came out of this body. And I think that it was forgotten on our council when they were making a vote. And as we move forward, I think the city is in a better position if we have some set of development standards, because to one of the commissioner's statements earlier, developers are still going to be planning during this time. It's not like we're going to be without folks looking at land, looking at implementing data centers as soon as the moratorium ends. And effectively, what this is doing is putting a pause on it until there's a new city council in place. And so what you're going to run into, or what the city will run into in 2028, there will be a fresh batch of some counselors, and they're not going to be as educated as the counselors that we have now, but we're going to have... And so what we're going to have is a group of developers who are going to come in and be a lot smarter on this topic than a new group of counselors with the advantage in their playing field versus in ours. So I'd recommend that you keep the set of standards that you gave us the first time and send it back to and deny the recommendation that came from the city council.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Hart, for being here. Councilor, you're good, Boots? You're good?
Just one final point.
Please do.
I respect Councilor Hart's position. However, that vote was 23-1. He was the sole vote against it. So I just want to remind that it was by far and away the lion's shares of the council and for the moratorium. So, thank you.
Thank you.
President Dillon, may I ask City County Councilor Boots a question?
Possibly.
Well, I'll ask it, and possibly you could answer it. So being City County Councilor and participating in the exercise of coming up with the moratorium language and the intent of it, would you agree that the moratorium does not apply to the 3 developments that we've already approved at our level?
Yes, I think it clearly does. In our discussions, it was explained to us that because of the reasons that Attorney Steinmetz mentioned, there's a constitutional issue of retroactively applying something like this. So it was our understanding and explained to us that this would not have anything to do with the 3 centers already approved.
Thank you.
Council, let me correct the record as well, Nancy. The Vested Rights Act is 36-7-4-1109. I want to make sure we have that correct. And I agree with the councilor that that's in place and is what it is. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Councilor Hart, thank you for being here. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you can sit down, relax. And also thank you for being here. You're recommending approval.
That's correct. DMD current plan staff is recommending approval of what council has approved on August 10th.
All right, let's be clear. For the record, members of the commission, Mayor Hogsett has called for a moratorium going forward till December 31st of 2027, so criteria can be worked on. The City County Council has called for a moratorium on data centers going forward, so the criteria can be worked on. Our vote today, we cannot amend what's been sent to us. You either have to say, yes, I'm voting for the moratorium, or no, I'm voting against the ordinance that was sent to us. Please go to your ballots.
Ordinance Amendment 2026A-001 amended, City of Indianapolis, Marion County. There were 6 ballots cast. All 6 were yes votes. The ordinance amendment has been approved.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. We appreciate your hard work on this matter. Commissioner Schumacher, motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you.